The Mahindra Group brings a lot more to the new partnership with Ford Motors than just a factory, says Mahindra & Mahindra chairman Anand Mahindra. Speaking to Bloomberg News, Haslinda Amin on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum at Davos, Mahindra says he plans to make the most of Tech Mahindra's capabilities to develop autonomous driving technology. He also says the budgetary measures aimed at boosting farm income need not necessarily qualify as populist. Haslinda started off by asking him what he had to say to Prime Minister when he met him over dinner earlier in the week at Davos.
To my mind, and when the Prime Minister was here and he had a dinner with the CEOs the first night, that was the only appeal I made. I said, look, please redouble your efforts on that. You've done a great job. Because if you untie our hands, then you're really going to see the energy and the entrepreneurial spirit of India take off. And that's what we really need. You want 10% growth, you've got to get private investment back. If you want private investment back, untie our hands, which means make it easy to do business.
Budget day, 1st of February. What do you hope to see?
And this is, I have been very strict in India. I don't go onto budget shows or give my ratings or expectations.
But it has.
But let me put it this way: I do not foresee a very populist budget this time.
Not even ahead of the elections in 2019?
Well, it depends. I was going to say, it depends on what you call populist. If you're going to do something that improves the terms of trade for farmers, and that's still more than 65% of the population of India lives in rural areas. So if you're going to improve the terms of trade for farmers by what you do, in other words, raising minimum support prices for agriculture, providing funds for irrigation, providing relief in the credit cycle for farmers, that's not populist. Yes, it does get votes, but you know what? It's going to revive rural demand. And I can tell you on the ground that some of the things they've done to provide more credit and better relief for farmers, we are the largest tractor manufacturer in the world. Our sales are very robust, so clearly that's having an effect. And then when you get a pull of demand from rural areas, from 65% of the population, you take India up. So I wouldn't call it populist. I think they're going to be smart and they will take moves, they will make moves to revive consumption. They will make moves to revive demand amongst the poor people in India. And that can only help. It's not populist. It's also good for the economy.
I want to talk about your business because you made headlines by expanding in the U.S. What are the plans in Detroit? What are your targets? What do you hope to do?
Okay, some of that I may have to kill you after telling you. But no, I won't tell you the targets. But, we opened the factory. I was there for the launch. But we are going to be selling an off-road utility vehicle. It's interesting. People say, what is that micro niche thing? Polaris and all these ATVs, as they call them. That market has grown to be 400,000 a year in the US. It's for farmers. It's got commercial users with a little pickup platform attached to these devices. People use it for recreation, for hunting. So what we're going to give them is a device that has metal bodies, not just plastic, that is durable, that municipalities can use as well. So we're going to raise the bar. We're going to change the rules of the game in the off-road utility business. And we're probably going to start very soon, in the next couple of months, selling the vehicle. But I won't tell you our targets or price lines or anything, because that's a little bit of competitive information.
But you also renewed your partnership with Ford. What's that about and why?
It would be a little inaccurate to say renewed our partnership, because if you go back to our partnership, it was a full-fledged joint venture which they entered India through Mahindra Ford. So it's not as if we've announced any joint venture. What we've announced is working together. There's a recognition that there's an enormous amount of unpredictability in the world of mobility today. And, two heads are better than one. And we think that given our chemistry, which is historic, and we've always had an amicable relationship, let's attack some of the problems that people are facing today in this changing world, to do with shared mobility, to do with electric mobility. I even mentioned to them that, look, autonomous driving, India might be one of the dark horses in providing the technology for that at very low cost. Our own company, Tech Mahindra, is ahead of the game in providing companies with autonomous driving technology. So it's a new partnership. It's not renewing the old one, it's a new partnership.
Anand Mahindra at Davos. The country's largest drug maker is looking to make a switch to specialty drugs. Sun Pharma's chairman Israel Makov told Menaka that the plan is to grow the specialty drugs division, and the company is willing to make acquisition in that space. Menaka started by asking about Ranbaxy's merger with Sun Pharma.
So I also wanted to talk to you about, the integration with Ranbaxy and how you see that, sort of finally coming to, I think, finishing all of the various pain points. Do you think you'll are over all of that? Because I think it was much tougher than you all had anticipated to begin with, right?
First of all, I think that we are about at the end of the process.
Okay.
It's not the thing. I think that we have achieved all what we wanted in terms of synergies, what we declared that we want to achieve. I think that we're achieving all of these synergies. And basically, when we look backwards, it was a successful integration. Every integration, especially of large size, of large size acquisition, is always a challenge, for every company. And we met this challenge quite well.
So it's been a difficult last year or two for Sun Pharmaceuticals from a profitability point of view, from a stock market, valuation point of view.
That's true.
We've seen share prices decline dramatically from their all-time highs.
Yes.
Do you expect that FY 18-19 will be a better year? And if yes, can you give us some sense or some idea of how much better it will be for your various stakeholders and investors?
For Sun or for the industry?
For Sun.
No, for Sun, first of all, I don't give a guidance,
I'm not okay.
But, I'm an optimistic guy, so I see everything, with real colors, real colors, and I think, and I'm quite optimistic. Sun is doing a lot, in investing in specialty products. And we have quite a significant activities around developing and acquiring specialty products. And I believe that in 2020, a significant part of our business will be around specialty products.
How much would that be?
That's I'm not going to tell you, but that's going to be significant. And this is what Sun is doing. Sun is looking at the future. Sun is trying to meet all the challenges of the future. And if I can say, somebody who comes from Israel, who has seen a number of companies in his life, Sun is a great company.
Well, I'm not disputing that at this point in time. Just asking whether you think that the most difficult part of the last few years now is behind you, and whether you think from here onwards things will be on an improvement.
I hope that this is the case.
You hope that is the case. That things from FY, financial year 18-19 will be a marked improvement over the last couple of years.
Yes, we'll give you a guidance. We'll give you specific guidance.
I'm not asking for a number. I'm asking for a qualitative view on whether it will be a better year.
I don't want to make a comment of this.
And you think that this pursuit of specialty products will continue both in an organic and inorganic fashion?
Yes. Both organic and inorganic. We're spending a lot on R&D. We expanded our R&D, but we already have acquired a few products, and we are going to acquire more when the opportunity is there.
Ken Rogoff, professor at Harvard University, says that one of the two biggest risks to the global economy is on its way to Davos. He was referring to President Donald Trump. The second biggest risk, according to him, is China. Listen in.
The IMF greatly upgraded its forecast, but that's after 9 years of downgrading their forecasts every year. And I think the baseline, we had lots of uncertainty, but the baseline is that they'll keep upgrading their forecasts for a while. There are lots of risks. One of them is coming to visit Davos in a day or two. China, perhaps if global interest rates rise faster than people are expecting. But I think the shadow of the financial crisis is finally melting away, and that helps. That there are other factors.
Do you believe that global interest rates could potentially rise faster than anyone expected?
My baseline is no.
Yeah.
But I have more uncertainty about it than I think the markets do. I don't think anyone really knows why they went down so fast, went down so far. And how can we be sure they won't go back up? I would bet at some point in the next few years, interest rates will be significantly higher than are currently priced in the market. But we may not see that in 2018.
Well, as yet, it doesn't seem to be that inflation has given anyone a reason to worry, especially in developed economies.
No, that's right. But eventually, it will kick in. I mean, I think there was more slack in employment than we realized. And so it wasn't, and probably the fact that labor share has been declining also is a factor. But it'll turn. I mean, you have accelerating growth, you have unemployment being really low, and now a fiscal stimulus. I predict inflation will rise above 2% in the U.S. this year.
That was Kenneth Rogoff. Out of time on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Countdown is up next.